Colors are really important, for your startup brand, and because they actually connect the brand to the customer, to the client, to the user, right? It actually defines the brand. It gives them an identity. It gives them this emotion, right, that the user or the customer can connect to, right? So, for example, look at the agricultural sector. They will go with mostly green, orange, and the rest of them. This is because of the green nature of of agriculture. So yeah, when the startup brand goes with such a color, it basically connects the user, the customer, with that with whatever they're offering to them.
Describe your design process from start to finish for a typical project.
Okay, for a typical project, my design process actually goes with the design thinking process, which starts with the emphasizing phase, the defining phase, the editing phase, prototyping phase, and the test. So basically, my my design process goes like this. First of all, you want to carry out a research on what project you're currently on, what brand you're designing for, who you are designing for, the client, the customer, the users of that product, who they are. You want to understand them. Then you also want to define the problem that you've gotten from your research. So you want to understand the type of users. You want to create user personas, problem statements, and the rest of them. Then you want to ideate this. Yeah, you want to come up with ideas, right, that solve that user's problem that that you've gotten in in the define phase, and you prototype. So in this phase, yeah, I basically would go about my design, try and create whatever I have ideated, try and create it and bring it to life in whatever tool I'll be using for, for it. It could be Figma, Adobe SD, or whatever. I would just, go, well, create the design. Then, the last one is the test phase. So yeah, you want to give out your designs, to users to test it, to see if it actually solved their problem. Then if it doesn't solve their problem, you get user feedback, and you iterate on it. So that's basically like my design process for a typical project.
You mentioned Figma. Which will you prefer, Figma or XD?
Figma. So I'll definitely go with Figma every other time, because Figma just gives the designer that room for creativity, that room to create so much more, right? Adobe SD has its limitations. Um, why I'm very conversant with in Adobe SD, I'll actually go with Figma every other time. Figma just gives you that opportunity to create and create better.
Aside Figma and Adobe SD, which other softwares do UI UX designer make use of?
Okay, there are a number of softwares out there that UI UX designers can actually make use of to bring in their designs to life, or their ideas to life. We have Sketch. Sketch is just like Adobe SD and Figma. We have Prototype. Yeah, Prototype is for prototyping whatever design you have. There are many other tools out there, that you can use to give life to your design, bring your ideas to life. But yeah, we also have InVision. Yeah, there are a number of them out there.
How do you approach user research and what methods do you use to gather user feedback?
Okay, for user research, actually, it depends on what type of research you're doing. Is it primary research? Is it secondary research? What user group, sorry, what's the amount of users that you need to interview or carry out a survey on? What's the available budget? So when you know all of this information, right, you want to then carry out your user research, right? So you can actually go with either interviews, right, surveys, questionnaires. You can go with A and B testing, usability testing, and the rest of them. There are a number of them that you can use for user research.
Can you give an example of a time when user feedback significantly changed your design approach?
Yes. So I had a project I was on. It was for an oil and gas company, and after the design process was completed, and after it had been sent to the project manager, and the business owner for their review, um, I had the project manager come back to me and tell me, "Oh, um, I do not like it." It was a very small change, right? It's very small thing that he spotted, but it was really, really interesting, that he noted that out and I had to fix it. So he mentioned that, oh, he didn't like the bullet point that I used and it doesn't fit, right? It doesn't really fit the project that we are using, that we are doing at that point. So I had to, work on it. I had to change it. So basically, I had to take his feedback and implement it in my design.
Does this made you feel bad?
No, no, no. So user feedback is really, really important for your designs to be really great, for your designs to come out better and the rest of them. So you want to make sure that, yeah, you take users feedback in good faith. You want to make sure that, yeah, you accept whatever feedback they are giving to you and make sure to sift through them, see what is important and take out from it and definitely implement it. So user feedback does not make me feel bad in any way.
How do you balance aesthetics with functionality in your designs?
Aesthetics and functionality in my designs. All right, so for every design that you that I carry out, yeah, every design that I carry out, I want to make sure that I understand um, what the what the product, what the brand is all about, what I am designing. I want to make sure that I understand them very, very, very well, right? This is where functionality comes into play. Your understanding of that product, defines your functional knowledge of that product. So after you've gotten the functionality, then you want to bring in aesthetics into the design. You want to make sure that, oh, the design looks great, and the design generally follows all design principles out there. So basically, first off, you need to understand the brand, the product you're designing for, understand the functions, then bring in aesthetics.
What tools and software do you prefer for creating UI UX designs and why in orderly form?
Okay, I'll go with Figma, right? Figma is the top, right? You can do every other thing you want to do with Figma, right? Design, ideate using FigJam, prototype. You can actually do that all in Figma. Then next on the list, I think I'll go with Adobe SD. Adobe SD, basically just like Figma, but limited capabilities. I think limited abilities. Um, Adobe SD doesn't have that frame that Figma has, and it's a limitation for me. Then I think I make use of other ones like Protopy, right, for prototyping, and which other one do I actually go to? Framer, yeah, for low or no code development, right, and yeah, I think about Framer is just at the top of the list for every other thing that I create.
Can you walk me through a project where you faced a significant design challenges and how you overcome them?
Okay, so there was a particular project where a section of my design was not in harmony with every other um, section of that home page of that particular screen rather. It was not in harmony with them, and I created about 4 designs for that section. It was still not in harmony because I wasn't really tackling the source of the problem. So what I did, and I would say I was blinded, I was blind to the problem. I couldn't see the problem. And what I did was to reach out to another designer and send him the design. I'm like, oh, and I was like, oh, can you point me to, to the problem I'm having in this design? And lo and behold, in less than 30 minutes, he actually spotted the problem I was having, and yeah, solved it for me. And going back to design, implementing it, I really found out that yeah, the problem has been there all this time. I did not see it, but another person saw it. So it's really good and important that you wish you seek for help when you feel stuck. That's basically what I'm trying to say.
Considering the fact that everyone is not really able, do users consider disabilities? Like, what approach do you guys make differently from the normal abled people?
All right. So accessibility is one key thing that every designer rather consider when creating their designs, right? It could be in the choice of color, right? Maybe not going with all white or all black because of people that have color issues. Um, it could be text to speech. It could be in captions in videos and the rest of them. So designers basically need to consider accessibility, right, in every design that they carry out.
So, what's your process for conducting usability testing, and how do you incorporate the findings into your design?
Um, Usability testing. So my process for doing that is I'll normally send out my design after I'm done to fellow designers first of all for reviews, and after that you also want to send it out to users, people that are outside the design, like design group, designers. You want to send it out to them, test out your design to see if there are any issue that they encounter in using your design, or yeah, in using your design. So you want to make sure that yeah, you send it out to other designers. So when they test it and use it, right, that is where you get your usability testings from and use it to inform your design. Whatever feedback that they give to you, you go back to the drawing board and you implement your design. Iteration is very important for your design. So you want to iterate and iterate on their feedbacks. And that's how I implement user feedback from usability testings.
How do you stay updated with the latest trends and technologies in UI UX designs?
All right, for latest trends, one thing I do is there are a lot of designers out there that you can follow. There are a lot of designers out there you can follow on Twitter, Instagram, and you also want to make use of other design tools, sorry, other design websites like Behance, Dribble, follow top design companies, right? There are a lot of design companies out there that are creating beautiful work. You also want to follow them. You also want to read up articles on IDF, International Design Foundation. Um, you also want to look at something like mm, Norman groups, Nelson Norman group, yeah, energy. You also want to look at that, and yeah, basically it's all online. That's how you follow up with design trends.
Share a project or moment in your career where you felt a deep sense of accomplishment or satisfaction from your work.
All right, so accomplishment for me comes every time a project goes live. Every time a project goes live, I feel that sense of accomplishment. I feel like I've conquered the world. It always feels so great to have your project go live. It feels like you're seeing your handwork, your efforts, not go down the drain. So it's really beautiful whenever a project goes live. That's the music.
Can you name most popular fonts easily used by UI UX designers?
Ah, top on the list, I think Inter. Inter is everybody's go-to font at the moment. Yeah, and well, we have we have Poppins, but not a number of us use it again. I think it has been bashed a lot, in recent times, by designers out there. But yeah, Inter is good. Poppins is good. There are other ones like what's this last one that I used for this project? I can't remember. Well, I think Inter goes for every other thing you want to do.
Okay. Thank you for coming today. And we've moved to the segment of the honesty game.
Thank you for having me.
What app do you spend the most time on?
Twitter. Twitter.
Why Twitter?
Yeah, Twitter just give you that real time information. You get everything on Twitter like really quickly, and I really spend a lot of time on Twitter.
If you could swap lives with anyone, who would it be?
Elon Musk. I'll go with Elon Musk.
Why Elon Musk?
I just like the guy, so irrational. I don't know how to put it. Would the word be irrational? But I mean, so spontaneous. I think that's the right word. His decision making. He has a lot of money too. So I'll go with Elon Musk.
What's your favorite way to spend a day off?
Favorite day. Wait, spend a day off.
Your
Hmm.
favorite way to spend a day off, yeah.
Honestly, the way I spend a day off is to stay indoors. I just stay indoors and probably scroll through Twitter all day, watch a few movies and the rest of them. Well, I think that's how I spend.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.